So I'm going to start in basically an empty project. Go to 2D view, and we have a tool here to lay out. Basically, you're going to lay out a circulation line and then control how much space on either side of that circulation the building volume should maintain. So let me pop one in here. As you put things in, you have full control of both directional and extent of the item that you're popping in. So go 175 feet in this direction, 175 feet in this direction, and then I'll close it out here. And one thing that previous users will note is that we can close a loop now. So that was something that was not the easiest thing to do before, much easier now. What we end up with here is by default, it starts us with kind of a 5-story building. I can change that. I can drop it to 1. I can bring it up to as many as I want. The floor height for this block, and we'll talk about blocks as opposed to floors and buildings later, is 11 feet. And then the circulation width is 6 feet on this one. So that's the default, ultimately changeable. There's no issues in changing that. The other thing I can do is say, all right, each one of these, I want to make wrong side again. I want to make some of these just single loaded, so I can control the depth on either side of my circulation. Can bring it right down to 0 for single loaded, or if you have units on one side that are going to be larger than others, I can go 30 feet and 40 feet, 15 feet, whatever I want to do here. So we're going to make this big kind of open space in the middle. And then I have the ability, and I'll show you how to do this in a bit, but I have the ability now to apply a catalog to this particular building. So let's see, I'm going to apply this Schema residential catalog. And the first thing it's going to do is kind of apply it really quickly. This is our kind of the first distribution that it makes. And what you're going to notice is that it initially distributes all the unit types kind of equally across the whole thing. That may or may not be great. We have the ability to control this. The other thing I want to point out is that just because I've finished kind of an initial layout doesn't mean I'm done here. So I could put another 175-foot wing on this side. Now it'll temporarily remove the geometry when I do that. And each new segment is going to be double loaded, so I can remove the loading. Let me pop one over here as well. And then if I want to, I can continue to kind of lay things out. So I have the ability to lay out things pretty dynamically, kind of get any sort of crazy shape I might want in here, kind of preview it, get that down to 0. And then at any point that I want to, I can take a look and see, well, what would the distribution of this one be like? So you can start looking at how much space do I need to fill up the program that I might want to put in place. So this might be too much space. Let me just get rid of a couple of these here, and we'll go back to a more simple one. But the idea behind it is obviously you can change shapes dynamically, tell it to redistribute again, and it will redistribute again as you move through the process. Let me just end up with this shape that we've got here. And I'm going to look at possibly a different distribution for this building. So I can go into it, this unit mix, and edit it. In this case, my catalog included 4 different types of units. Now I can have multiple actual units within each type. But let's say in this case, I only want I want 15% studios, and I've got 1 studio type. Let's say I want, this is going to be mostly a 1-bedroom layout. So I'm going to say I want to distribute these as much as I can, and I'll use both types. For the 2 bedrooms, I'm going to keep that at 25%. And at the 3 bedrooms, let's just exclude that one, put these at the corner and just say, all right, well, I'm going to need 10% of these. And once you're at 100%, so it's doing the math for you. Once I'm back to 100%, it allows me to distribute that. So if I hit the distribute button here, it's going to do the best it can to do a layout. And it will show me over here, hey, these were your goals. Here's what we actually hit for you. 15, we're at 15.4. The bedroom is straight on, right? The 2 bedrooms we hit exactly as well. And 3 bedrooms we were at about 7%. So this matched it up pretty nicely. At any point, I can go through and say, well, let's try a different one. I can continue to lay out new, lengthen corridors, put on new wings, shorten, change things. And I can explore different options. So speaking of options, one of the things I can do is at any point, I might like this one, but might want to consider a different option. One of the things I can do, let me go ahead and save this, is kind of clone this option at this point. Continue to work on this, maybe have a teammate jump in and work on the clone and see what other options there are. But I can go ahead and duplicate this, and it'll give me a duplicate of that option 1 in my list here, and I can start playing with them as we move forward. So you can see I have now this option 1, option 1, option 1. So some pretty interesting opportunities here for you to explore different options and things of that nature. Now, once you are at a point where you've got what you like, let me go ahead and redistribute here again. One of the things you can do is release the building. Our former parlance of this was bake. Now we're calling it release. So until I release it, I can't play with individual units, but once I do release it, I can start going into individual floor layouts and start playing with various functions here. So I could say, all right, I like this unit layout, but obviously I don't want a big gap here, or maybe I do, and I'm going to have another sort of open space. I'm not going to define it here. It's not going to be one of my units. That'll be something that I manage once I get into my BIM system. So in Revit, in this case, that would just be an open space. Maybe over here, I want to morph this unit though, so I can go ahead and I just detached it from the rigid space that it was in. And now I can start dynamically changing it and making it fill these spaces. So some pretty cool and interesting stuff available for you here. Let me go ahead and save that, and I will take a quick look what that looks like. Yeah. So kind of the last thing I want to show you on this one is the ability to get a project into Revit. So let me pop open Revit here. I'll go to our Schema plugin. And what this allows me to do is it connects me into my Revit instance, gives me access to all the projects that I've access to, and gives me the ability to open up and import any of the options that I just created. So I'll go ahead and pick option 1 here, hit import. Now this takes a little while, and there are some pop-ups off screen. So what I'm going to do is move that off screen, go ahead and save this file. And it immediately starts crunching through and showing you, what your progress is on this schema here. One thing I do want to show is that that import was successful.
That's the Revit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So this was the building that I created kind of live that came into Revit. So those units all had balconies on them. If I go into one of these levels, really, really well defined. Each one of these groups is, or each unit is a group. You can see, I've got the studio in here a few times, and the behavior of this group is as you would expect it. So for some reason, there's 3 beds in this one studio. So let me get rid of those. And you notice that's here and here and here. And when I update the group, One of the cool things about Revit groups is you update it once and it updates everywhere. We maintain that paradigm as we pull things in from our catalog into groups in Revit. So yeah, real quick output, real solid. Again, it didn't get you to 100%. You wouldn't be able to suddenly print these documents, but it's going to get you to 60, 70, 80% really quickly and get you to a space where you can, really jumpstart and get ahead on your project.